The queens who died because of love throughout history. Love has been both the greatest triumph and the most devastating tragedy for many powerful women. Today, we explore the stories of queens whose hearts led them to their ultimate downfall. These are tales of passion, sacrifice, and the price of love when you wear a crown. Our first story takes us to the opulent halls of Versailles, where Marie Antoinette, the Austrian princess who became Queen of France, lived a life of luxury that would ultimately cost her everything. Born in 1755, Marie Antoinette married the future King Louis XVI when she was just 14 years old. This was not a marriage of love, but of political alliance. However, Marie Antoinette's heart yearned for genuine affection and freedom. She surrounded herself with close friends, threw lavish parties, and indulged in expensive fashions and jewelry. Her love for the finer things in life, combined with her apparent indifference to the struggles of the French people, made her a target of public hatred. But it wasn't just material love that sealed her fate. Marie Antoinette's deep love for her children and her unwavering loyalty to her husband during the French Revolution proved to be her undoing. When the royal family was imprisoned, she could have fled France and saved herself. Instead, her love for her family kept her by their side. She refused multiple opportunities to escape because she wouldn't abandon Louis XVI or their children. This devotion to love and family led her to the guillotine in 1793, where she faced death with dignity, reportedly saying, "Courage. I have shown it for years. Think you I shall lose it at the moment when my sufferings are to end?" Perhaps no queen's love story is more famous than that of Anne Boleyn. Born around 1501, Anne captured the heart of King Henry VIII so completely that he was willing to break with the Catholic Church, divorce his first wife, and create religious upheaval across England just to marry her. Anne's love affair with Henry began in the 1520s, when she served as a lady-in-waiting to Queen Catherine of Aragon. Unlike Henry's previous mistresses, Anne refused to become merely his lover. She demanded marriage, a crown, and legitimacy for any children they might have. Their passionate correspondence reveals a love that consumed both of them. Henry wrote to Anne, declaring his heart belonged to her alone. For 7 years, their love affair dominated English politics as Henry fought to annul his first marriage. When they finally married in 1533, Anne was already pregnant with the future Queen Elizabeth I. However, the very love that had elevated her to the throne would also destroy her. Henry's love was possessive and demanding. When Anne failed to produce the male heir he desperately wanted, and when she showed independence and intelligence that challenged his authority, his love turned to suspicion and rage. Anne's sharp wit and refusal to be submissive, qualities that had initially attracted Henry, now seemed threatening to him. In 1536, just 3 years after their marriage, Henry had Anne arrested on fabricated charges of adultery, treason, and incest. Her love for Henry had blinded her to his capacity for cruelty. On May 19, 1536, Anne Boleyn was executed at the Tower of London. Even facing death, she spoke of her love for the king who had condemned her, saying, "I pray God save the king and send him long to reign over you. For a gentler nor a more merciful prince was there never." Our journey takes us to ancient Egypt, where Cleopatra VII ruled as the last pharaoh of Egypt. Her intelligence, charisma, and political acumen made her one of history's most powerful women. But it was her capacity for passionate love that ultimately led to her downfall. Cleopatra's first great love was Julius Caesar. When civil war threatened her throne, she allied herself with the Roman general, and their relationship blossomed into genuine love. Caesar's protection allowed her to secure her rule, and together they had a son, Caesarion. However, when Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE, Cleopatra lost both her lover and her most powerful ally. Her second great love was Mark Antony, one of Rome's most powerful generals. Their love affair was legendary in its intensity and extravagance. Antony abandoned his Roman wife and duties to be with Cleopatra in Egypt. Together, they lived like gods, hosting magnificent feasts and celebrations that became the stuff of legend. Their love was not just personal but political. Cleopatra and Antony dreamed of creating an empire that would rival Rome itself. They had 3 children together and planned to establish a dynasty that would rule the Mediterranean world. However, their love made them enemies of Rome. Octavian, Caesar's heir, declared war on them, painting their relationship as a threat to Roman values and power. The propaganda war portrayed Cleopatra as a seductress who had corrupted noble Roman men. In 31 BCE, at the Battle of Actium, Octavian's forces defeated the combined fleets of Antony and Cleopatra. Seeing the battle was lost, Cleopatra retreated with her ships. Antony, believing she had abandoned him, followed her back to Egypt. When false news reached Antony that Cleopatra had died, he fell on his sword. Mortally wounded, he was brought to Cleopatra, and they shared their final moments together. Rather than face the humiliation of being paraded through Rome as Octavian's prisoner, Cleopatra chose to join her beloved in death. On August 12, 30 BCE, she allowed a poisonous asp to bite her, dying as she had lived on her own terms for love. These 3 queens, Marie Antoinette, Anne Boleyn, and Cleopatra, lived in different eras and faced different challenges. But they shared one fatal flaw. They loved too deeply in a world that demanded political calculation over emotional truth. Their stories remind us that for women in power, love has always been both a source of strength and a dangerous vulnerability. In a world where marriages were political alliances and emotions were seen as weakness, these queens dared to follow their hearts. Marie Antoinette's love for luxury and family made her a symbol of royal excess. Anne Boleyn's passionate love affair changed the course of English history, but ultimately led to her execution. Cleopatra's grand love stories, with 2 of Rome's greatest generals, brought down an empire. Each of these women could have chosen differently. They could have prioritized political survival over personal happiness. They could have remained cold, calculating rulers who never risked their hearts. But they chose love, even when love meant death. Their legacies live on not just as cautionary tales, but as reminders of the human heart's power to drive us toward both greatness and tragedy. They died because of love, but they also achieved immortality because of it. Their stories continue to inspire and fascinate us, proving that some prices are worth paying, even when the cost is everything.